haven't done it. Now we're recording. On Saturday, I made a suggestion, and the suggestion was to begin to recite as we begin making contact with the groundwork. Begin at the beginning is the first instruction. First, begin with the groundwork. I thought we could remember this mantra or one like it. And really the essence of this quote is also the same as the practice, which is anything good, anything that is a blessing, any merit, any positive moment. And I've been practicing this for the last week and a half. It's been really lovely. A good breeze, a beautiful smell, delicious food, a moment of connection with a friend, a moment of joy watching a child. Any positive that we experience, the beginning training is to make contact with that positive and breathe it in, make contact with it, and then send it out. And that's what this quote here says. May my merits flow to others. May I make this commitment. May it fill the sky. That in the goodness, we take all of our wealth, is sometimes written. All of the positives, including not only experiences, but then what? Also our own qualities. And someone asked me yesterday, it was very touching. Someone asked me yesterday to send them strength in a difficult moment. And I thought, well, how wise. You would ask for that, wouldn't you, from someone who you know embodied that quality or that characteristic. And a part of the Bodhisattva path is to be a person who holds those characteristics: compassion, strength, flexibility, patience. And I thought, you know, this is a beautiful point in the training, that not only are we cultivating it, but we're asking our spiritual friends, our community, our teacher, our others for support in these practices. And that's exactly right. This is a part of our basic groundwork, by the way. So the quote here says that when there is anything good, let's gather it, recognize it, and then send it out till it fills the sky. And when it is something difficult, this is the basic training. Rather than reject, rather than resist, rather than shut down, rather than push it away, could I actually willingly take it in based on all the training, based on all my practice? Do I have the capacity, the truth of the Bodhisattva path, to take that in, not only for myself, but for others? And as we began on Saturday, we took it in for just one special one, another person we could imagine. And the suggestion that I gave on Saturday that we'll rehearse again today was, could I begin by simply imagining a moment of goodness? We're going to start in a moment of goodness and then move to a moment of difficulty. And we're going to practice on the medium of the breath, which is the whole of the Tonglen practice. Could I imagine that another, some other, not just me, no longer just egoic, but some other being, a mother, a father, a friend, a child, feels this too? And we saw this as the base of the groundwork. Could I imagine that in my humanness, I am not alone, in whatever I am experiencing. And then the second aspect would be, could I imagine that there would be others, not just me, working with this too? That there would be another just like me, practicing not shutting down, practicing not exploding, practicing not acting out or collapsing into repression or self-hatred. Could I imagine not only the experience itself, but that there was another just like me practicing with this too? And that also gives us strength, doesn't it? To go, it's not just me here trying to figure out how to work with this craving, how to work with egoic thoughts, how to work with wanting, but also actually taking this opportunity to use it as a part of the path. This is for me, the beauty of the Mahayana path. In the Hinayana or the Theravadan, we are just working on identifying cravings, self-making. But in the Mahayana, we say no matter what appears, no matter what it is, the good news, the bad news, and everything in between, I can work with this. Everything is workable, and I can use it actually as an essential part of the path. And I love that teaching. And so I'm going to offer it to you today. So let's prepare for sitting. Let's see how we do. And then we'll talk a little bit more about LOJONG and the ultimate Tonglen practice. So establishing one's posture, and we begin with the body itself, don't we? Setting the body right. Right inward measure comes from the beginning of setting the body. And take a moment with it. This is first, begin with the preliminaries. Begin with the groundwork. It's our first slogan. And the groundwork begins with this own body being sitting right here. Establishing yourself upright, dignified, present, and also settled in. That we begin to invite the mind home to the body. The first is the sense of the whole body sitting here. And I have made the suggestion of pouring oneself, one's liquid form, one's liquid presence and attention into the body, all like an empty vase, and then moving that liquid all the way down to the feet. And you just move up as you continue to pour your own attention into the body, beginning with the toes, the feet, up into the ankles. Let's just take a moment for that practice. Continue pouring and then up from the ankles into the lower legs, touching in, feeling in, and sensing. Inviting mind and body home together. Moving up into the knees. The upper legs. And we're continuing to feel into the whole body, seeing how we're setting ourselves up into the hips, the weight of the upper body resting. Moving up the back. Up into the shoulders and then down the arms. into the hands. And then moving back up. And then from the shoulders up the back of the neck, back of the head, up into the top of the head. And once we're at the top of the head, there's actually a preliminary practice. I'm just going to play with you with it for a moment. It's not one that is commonly done. It's termed guru yoga, And the guru is a teacher, a friend, a deity. You can picture that deity right up there atop the head, like right above the fontanelle there. And picturing this being smiling. And my grandmother always comes to mind. I picture her as a most loving, unconditionally loving source. And you just need a moment, a flash of this love. It's maybe not something that's been there every moment of every day. But you're picturing that being up there and letting that being become radiant light. And then as we breathe down into the front of the body, we're going to gather that loving, friendly, unconditionally caring being, whatever the qualities are for you. We're going to breathe them right in through that fontanelle and letting it wash over the whole body, particularly the front. Letting that light, that goodness enter the body through the fontanelle, really coming down the body into the area of the heart. And we rest the guru there. It's not a word I use very often. You might think of it as some representative of our true nature, of our essential goodness. We gain support right here at the beginning, so that when we forget our own good hearts, we can call on this spiritual friend, this guru, this quality that we also possess. And we're lighting it up both in the neuroscience way as well as in the embodied way. And letting it rest there. And then continuing on beyond the heart space, widening, opening into the breathscape. Begin at the beginning. Remember the preliminaries. Start with the groundwork. This is the first instruction. Setting yourself up with all the supports you need. We could also call to mind the refuge vows. Now, this is sometimes considered the preliminary. And those three refuge are remembering the truth of awakening, not only the truth of our spiritual friend, not only the truth of Jesus, Mohammed, David, Allah, whoever you might embody and imagine, this supreme quality of being that we are capable of. Remembering this as the first refuge, we can take refuge in our own capacity for awakening. We can take refuge in the truth, sometimes called the Dharma, but the essential truths of this life. And we can take refuge in the Sangha, this community of spiritual friends with whom we practice, not only on Zoom, not only at EMC, but throughout the world, throughout time. We can rest in the community, the lineage that has come throughout all time to you, right here. And then we rest in the groundwork. May we offer any merits or blessings of this practice today to the benefit and welfare of all beings everywhere, without exception, omitting none, freeing us all. So those were the setups for the groundwork, the preliminary practice. And now we simply rest in the arising and passing breath. Stabilizing, steadying the mind. And it's a habit to start evaluating, judging, or condemning almost immediately. And rather than do that, we can actually train right here, recognizing the nature of mind, which is when it is not attended, it wanders. And so we're simply going to begin lovingly, gently, compassionately attending. We notice it moves slightly off and we invite it simply back to the breath wherever we are. Natural breath, Buddha breath. And we get to take as much time to stabilize and calm the mind here as we need. This is the shamatha practice, one of the preliminaries. It's essential. Take your time. We're not trying to get somewhere else. We begin to shore up our commitment to training, this mind training here. We notice the nature of the wandering mind. And without harshness or criticism, without resistance or rejection, we simply acknowledge the truth of this unguarded mind and we invite it home. And we stay consistent in the training. We can then begin to invite certain qualities of mind and heart, certain attitudes on the medium of the breath. And the four reminders help cultivate qualities of compassion, kindness, genuine love, and care. Remembering our guru who has been placed directly into our heart. Bright light of compassionate awareness, resting there, remembering our own capacity. We then invite the four reminders. The first is remembering the truth of this precious human life. We simply rest in the wave of the breath by calling this reminder to mind the truth of this precious human life, accorded to few, and how blessed and lucky we are. We recollect the truth of impermanence, the second reminder that nothing can be held, that nothing can be kept, that there is continual change and eventual death. The third reminder is the truth of karma, or cause and effect, that which we think, speak, and act has consequences, has direct results. And the truth that we are interconnected, interdependent, and that for our happiness, we pursue and wish for the happiness of all beings. And just rest in these four reminders, seeing the impact on your very quality of mind. It always offers me a little bit of urgency, a little bit of a stronger commitment. A willingness to persevere. I remember that there's a lot of money on the table, that this is no small thing. This very moment, and how I am in it. And then we can begin by recollecting all that goodness, all that we have been offered throughout all time, to have the privilege of this human life. We can even recollect all those who have offered themselves so that we could be here, our parents, our grandparents, and all those infinite others who have contributed to our ease, to our happiness, to our well-being. You couldn't count them all. Who have acted purposefully, deliberately, intentionally, not only for their own well-being, but for the well-being of others, including you. And in the traditional teachings, they say, imagine all the other Buddhas, all the other awakened ones, all the others who practitioners, all the other monastics, all the farmers, all the road builders, all the car manufacturers, all the food distributors. It says, breathe in those blessings. You couldn't possibly breathe it all in. To breathe it in, it requires that the heart grow bigger. And we simply let that goodness rain down upon us. We remember that we really have a full tank here. There really is something to offer. Even if it appears we have no thing, we have these infinite blessings. You may not have a dime, you may not have a quarter, but you have the truth of this. And so you are wealthy. And we simply breathe it in, immerse in this goodness, filling our own tank. We might recollect the people who have loved us. We might recollect pleasant moments or experiences. We might recollect moments of being cared for, moments of connection. Remembering all that has been given and gifted to us. These very teachings, this very community, our families, their love. And as we begin to breathe in that good, this is where we can begin to exchange oneself for another. We can breathe in the good, taking it all in, acknowledging, recognizing, smiling at all that goodness. And as we breathe out, we send it out. And I like to begin by sending it out first to someone who I believe is in need, someone who could benefit directly. And there are a couple of people who easily came to mind, and I'm picturing them. Make it as direct, as specific as you can, so that you can really feel the truth of this exchange. We're going to exchange our blessings and make that offer to them. May they feel this love. May they feel cared about. May they be free from fear or aloneness. And right along with that guru, we can invite these special ones into our own heart space. I just had a very delicious iced coffee this morning. You could send that. May they have this as well. Maybe you're sitting in a comfortable chair. Offer that comfort. Maybe you're resting in a quiet space. You can also offer the present moment and its goodness. If you have energy for the practice, you can offer that. There is no end to the goodness that can be offered. Breathing in, remembering this goodness that has been offered to you, breathing out, offering that goodness to another. You are now exchanging yourself, becoming a conduit for the exchange of qualities, of energies, of attributes, of blessings. And then check in with your own mind body, seeing if you can sense or feel the result. What's the impact of this offering, this exchange on your own heart mind? Others may come to mind. That just means there's more room, more space, more possibility for the exchange. And if it doesn't happen, this is also just fine as well. You may just be breathing those blessings, that merit, that goodness in for yourself and this other. This is the beginning of the Tonglen practice, the sending and taking. And as we develop the muscle, as we develop the heart space, as we develop confidence and faith in the practice, we can then extend and expand the practice beyond the blessings and merits to include a difficulty. And so I'd like you to just practice a little by just recollecting a little mild difficulty that you maybe confronted this morning. There's something quite simple or small. I couldn't find my other shoe. I didn't get the list done. Someone became irritable. Someone said we didn't do something, you know, whatever, this small moment. And I'd like you to just hold that moment as well, these moments of mild or light difficulty. And begin to breathe those in. We keep in mind the Guru, that bright light, that open space. We keep the reminders in mind, the preciousness of this human life, the impermanence of all things, even this. The truth of karma, that how we respond to this sets the next moment. That there is a cause and effect, not only to us, but ultimately to all beings. The truth of our interconnectedness and interdependence. How I work with this sets the course for the next moment. So we turn towards, move closer, and breathe in that difficulty. My frustration and not being able to find my other shoe is a small example. When we take in all the energy, all the power of that, we feel it completely. Allowing the experience to be exactly as it is. sending it right through our own good heart. We can begin this Tonglen by remembering that others, just like me, feel this. This is the begin of the exchange. Others, just like me, lose their shoe, get frustrated, want to be on time. And we take in the quality of that contraction. We willingly open into it. We don't resist, we don't push it away. We breathe it in, not only for ourselves, but for that other. Maybe someone specific once again comes to mind. Maybe no one specific, but we know that others have felt this frustration just like this pain, this aloneness, this sadness, whatever's true for you. And rather than collapse, rather than shut down, rather than quit the practice, rather than go back under the covers, we breathe in with intention. We take it on, not only our own difficulty, but the difficulty of another or others. We let it touch that radiant heart, that goodness. And like water hitting fire, it transforms into, from something solid, into something spacious, maybe gaseous, like steam or light. We are transforming it by our very willingness, like water on a hot iron. We transform it and we send it out. Then on our out breath, we send out that light, that freshness, that resolution, that goodness. And we send it out with the wish that both ourselves and that other or others be free from this distress. We keep the body soft. We keep the breath in mind. As we begin taking and sending. And if that feels too cumbersome or overwhelming, it actually means that you've gotten stuck in the in-breath. You have missed the reality of that willingness, of that intention. To take it in and on yourself transforms it completely. It is no longer contracted. By that very nature, it is invited into open space, invited into the radiant light of awareness, and completely transformed and breathed out. Breathing in distress, breathing out love and compassion. And with each breath, the radiant heart grows brighter, more luminous, bigger, more spacious. It is not diminished by the exchange, it is made greater, larger, bigger, until it fills the sky. And then for a few moments, we're going to let go of the exchanging, of the taking and sending, and actually just rest in the vast, luminous, radiant heart space. Vast, open. Resting the heart mind in that sky-like quality. Spacious. Relaxing the face, softening the body. Breathing, resting in the breath. The breath that moves beyond this body, out into the vast open space. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. Breathing that in and sending it out. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we rejoice at our good fortune and wish that same happiness and good fortune for others. May we rest in the great arms of equanimity and compassion. As wide, as deep, as vast as the sky. remembering our true nature and the truth of this precious human life. May we all be well. And may this practice contribute. Taking a moment, really making sure that the body's a little more open. Do a little stretching or a little gentle movement, especially when we've been holding all that we're holding and training for that. We want to be kind to the body and to the heart. I'm going to take a sip of that delicious coffee I was talking about. So I'm going to first, let's just start and see if there's any questions about the practice. Anybody have any questions? Anything anybody'd like to say? I think I'll just keep sipping while you think about them. Basic training. I have Leanne, you're on and unmuted, so maybe.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it. It just felt so good this morning. It was a great practice.
It is a great practice. And I'm going to tell you honestly, if we all don't do one other practice in this lifetime, but we do this taking and sending practice on the spot in our everyday life, you will change you in the world. And that's for sure. So whatever else you're doing, the shamatha breath awareness practice, they are all designed to really support us in this exchange that we can then live, breathe, and be every single day, no matter what's happening, right? That's the point. If it's good news, we send it out. If it's difficulty, we breathe, take it in. And the more we practice, the more we train, the better we'll get at it. And actually, what I am certain about is that others will sense, feel it too, and actually begin, there's a qualitative difference in how we are and our presence as we are doing this practice. So thank you, Lan. I'm glad it was a benefit to you. It has definitely been one of my favorite and most profound practices in my life. Tom Len, I'm going to look at chat here and then we'll go on. Yes, can I send out this recording? Yes, we, Leslie, who has been so kind and generous to volunteer to get those recordings posted, is now back in Israel. Thank you, Leslie, so much, and is settled and has been posting. these. And so now they're getting back up. So for those of you who were noticing they weren't there, you were not mistaken. It wasn't something about you. We were off for a couple weeks, and then are now back on, and even maybe have some more help if needed, based on another volunteer. So thank you all so much for that. It takes a little more time than one might imagine. The last two universal truths Renee is asking, the 4 reminders are first, the preciousness of this human life, recollecting that is the reminder, remembering the impermanent truth of impermanence, that no matter what, all things will come and go. The third is remembering the truth of karma, or the cause and effect of all things, including this practice of exchanging, but not only just the truth of karma, cause and effect in all things, that how your mind is will have a direct effect, how your heart is will have a direct effect, how you speak, think, and act then will have a direct effect, not only on you, but on others. And then the truth of our interconnectedness is the fourth. And that because we are interconnected, our willingness to take and send will have direct impact also. It's not philosophical, it is not theoretical, it is actually dramatic and practical. These are practical applications. So we have to distinguish that from all our prajna work that had a more contemplative philosophical orientation. This is dramatic, practical, behavioral. These things are the practices. There is no rehearsing for life. No, you're only in this moment. And the point of the teachings then is what? We can use and benefit from everything. That there is no moment, not a moment of difficulty or a moment of benefit that we cannot use to the good. That's the teaching. Can we breathe it into a reality? Can we make it real, not just make it philosophical or contemplative? And the answer is yes, on the medium of the breath, says the teachings, because that's real. You can only be here and now, right? You can only be here and now, and using the breath itself. Yeah, some lovely jokes about Clint Eastwood. It's all true. Yeah, we're going to make each other's day, aren't we? That's actually completely true. The 4 reminders are critically important. It says in the first LOJONG slogan, which is train in the preliminaries. Train in the preliminaries, that in the preliminary, you have to set yourself like this. Now, you don't give yourself this amount of support. It's not true. Could you imagine, before you do anything, offering these kinds of supports, and then the reality that you couldn't fail? You couldn't fail. You've set it up for success. You've offered yourself, both internal, external, and both, all that is needed to be successful. And we don't do this. We just demand. We sit down to meditate, by the way. I know you do because I've done it too. Sit down to meditate, just try to get to the breath. Just grab a couple. Just do. No, what did this say? No, begin at the beginning. Set the preliminaries, including that guru yoga that I gave you just a flash of. I've struggled with guru yoga for many years because that word guru was just off for me. It's not my language. It's not words I use. Even in the trainings, it's not the way I have thought of it. And the truth is, I've resolved that completely because I remember all those beneficial others, all those benefactors, all those people who have been there for me, who have supported me, loved me, cared for me. And when we call them in, we're not alone any longer. It's not just the egoic me who is here making these offerings. And so the guru yoga, the whole point of it is get out of yourself. Get out of your own way. Get out of this idea of me who has or doesn't have enough. Forget it. You're lost. And Guru Yoga says, never mind, you're just a vessel. Never mind, you're just a temple for the good. Never mind, it was never about you anyway. Not that you, right? Not that egoic you. So you don't have to worry. You are enough because that other egoic you was never going to be enough. And so if you felt that, uh-oh, I don't have what it takes, I don't have sufficient supply, you're lost in that self-making me, mine, and I. The Guru Yoga says larger than you know, bigger than you can imagine. That is the truth of our nature, our essential nature. And remember, look at the supports we just brought. We brought the reminders. We brought the guru, Grandma Irene, right over my head, right in there, resting radiantly in my heart. She was the most loving being who cared delightfully for me. We remembered the refuge vows. What are all the things we always have as refuge? Look at that setup. Who could fail with all that? It's only because you have forgotten. That's how we fail. That's why we even remember the reminders. We can only fail as we climb into the contracted me. I don't have it. I'm not enough. My day's not going well. I can't find my shoe. The coffee burnt. Right? Can you feel the contracted nature of it? Right? And we all go, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. So love the Guru Yoga. I'm so glad, Annika, that you liked it. I have to say I'm really getting more attached to it because it's the way of getting bigger, remembering who we really are. That's the point of it, not staying lost. Let's look at the chapter for a moment. I don't want to go back to these two chapters, so I want to take just a minute. These two chapters by Chogyam were more preliminary also, by the way. I want to see if I can find them. Let me share this here. So he doesn't really get into the 7 mind trainings. He gives us a little preamble or a little history about the trainings. And so he says LOJONG is the name of the training. Lo means mind. Jong means to cultivate or to train. He says, this is like your grandmother pointing at all the things she knows. This is where I picked corn. This is where I collected vegetables. That these offerings are like a grandmother pointing, which is very lovely and very beautiful. We need a working basis, it says, for our true reality, and we have to set ourselves up for it. What he is saying here is a contemplative approach is not sufficient. Ultimately, we need to get practical. We need absolute steps, stepwise, and that these mind trainings are in fact that. He actually goes on to say, by the way, how much he loved the mind trainings himself and how they have been of a great assistance to him on the path. It's a practice of beginning to shed the ego, it says there. Yes, getting beyond this small, limited definition of self. It's even why the Guru Yoga is important, remember? It makes us bigger. It helps us remember who we really are. That this bodhisattva identity that we have rejected for so long because of this fall into the trance of deficiency and unworthiness has never been true. And these trainings are really helping us climb right out of those belief thoughts that we don't have enough, we don't have what it takes. It says it's very practical. How we are going to do this is largely based on your practice and discipline. This is something we practice all day, not just for 30 minutes on the cushion. This is the call now, which is practice now becomes every moment. It's no longer when I sit on the cushion, when I'm quiet, when my mind is at ease or effortless. It says no, every moment is the path and the practice. And that's the uniqueness of the Mahayana tradition. He says here, it's a big job. It's no joke. You're on the big highway. And he also says you can't go wrong. That it's the best kind of struggle because we're struggling to make contact with our true nature. He says there's no more trying here. There's no cultivation, you just do it. There are no more excuses. There is no more, I didn't feel like it, my toe was hurting, I couldn't find my shoe. No, you use everything. You use the exact moment you're in, whether it's bitter or whether it's sweet. He's saying here, whether it's gentle or whether it's harsh. Every moment becomes usable and is necessary on the path, and it keeps us also in the reality of the present moment. He says here, once again, you're being harshed and gentled all at the same time. I thought that was pretty cute. The harshness is the commitment. The gentleness is the heart that commits it. The commitment requires those paramitas, and we talked about them: discipline, patience, the practice itself, and the wisdom. We've got to bring all of this to bear now on each of these moments. He goes on to explain one more time that the Mahayana path is different in that we bring an enlightened attitude. That means the non-separation of self and other, that enlightened attitude. It is no longer just about me at all. He goes on to say that Atisha, who was the propagator of these teachings, though he did not come up with them himself, what Lojong means, we've already talked about that. He says lo is related to the word logos or word in the Christian tradition. In the beginning was the word. Ka is a fundamental sacred command. He goes on to talk about the languaging. That was pretty interesting. You might enjoy that. This teaching comes out of the Kadampa school, and he goes on to talk about what is unique about the Kadampa school, and that is the direct instruction comes out of Kadampa. He calls it Kadam. I've always known it as Kadampa, which I think means school of Kadam. And he says there's also another tradition, the Geluk, which is the Dalai Lama. And not only do they take the practical aspects of these teachings, they cultivate virtue. And the Geluk school is a virtue holding school, and that is like the Dalai Lama himself, who comes from that school. The root text of the 7 points, that's the book I have here, and that's the one I am going over with Lama Kathy every Wednesday, and just to make sure I stay on the right side of the text and don't start making shit up, because that's not helpful. And this is the book, and actually, I would say at some point you may be interested, but not right now. Changjub, that actually is my bodhisattva name. When you take the bodhisattva vow, as some of you may choose to do at some point in these teachings, Changjub is actually the name I was given, and it actually means enlightened wisdom. And it says that that is ultimately what we're cultivating by these very practical 7 mind trainings. I don't see anything really there. He says, on the way to being kind, we can forget what the real point is. And I think that's true. We can forget that it's simply realizing who we really are. That the point of it isn't just for the kindness, it's for the fact that we then are realizing or awakening to our true nature and the true nature of all beings. And he's saying sometimes we can miss the point and just think we're supposed to be kind, but it's not independent of this other essential truth, which is to be kind because that's who we really are. That we get closer to our true identities and our true nature as we are being kind. He says, Lojong is a way of switching allegiance from the egoic to our true Buddha nature. That's exactly right. That's what I've been saying. It's beautiful trainings, and they're very simple and practical, and that's what we all love about them. He talks about his own training. Jamgon is who wrote that book I just showed you, the 7 points of mind training. He studied it. He's going on to say that. He says the Lojong trainings are powerful, that it's best to memorize them. We won't have any problem with that. They're very short, and that we can call on them in times of need. And I think that's also very true. And that it's a part of its practicality is that these begin to come to mind. And we were noticing as we were studying the 59 Lojong slogans, how often we began to use them and how often they came to mind on the spot when we really needed them. He says compassion only comes out of ultimate bodhicitta, which is that remembering that we and others are not separate, that there is no distinction, that the exchange is easy because there is no longer a me or a you, that we are in this collective unconditioned truth. And so it becomes easier. We lose our arrogance, he says. Of course, we know this is true. We also lose not only our arrogance, we lose our sense of deficiency, you heard me say. The ego not only cultivates arrogance, but complete sense of deficiency. I am not what I am failed in, what I am, and it clears all of that up because it's no longer about you at all. There's no me being good or me being not good. Doesn't even come up. It's not the orientation of these teachings or of that quality of heart mind. I underlined the one on the other side, this one, because he really doesn't mean this the way it sounds. You feel sorry for others, and out of the frustration at their suffering, you cultivate compassion. He doesn't mean pity here, is why I underlined it. Pity is a self-propagating feeling. Me over here feeling sorry for the pathetic you over there. That's not what he means at all. He's saying you really feel for others as you, and you know this, don't you, as you watch a friend, as you watch a family member repeat patterns that lead to their distress, that lead to their unhappiness, that lead to their feeling alone, that lead, you can only feel for them because you know this too. And that's a part of the training we went through today. Others feel this too. We start using the slogans, calling them to mind so that we can remember them. And that means memorizing and repeating them. That'll be important. The slogans are based on the paramitas, which is of course true. It's a beautiful way to learn the Dharma and to learn to listen. And we begin to use the slogans in particular situations. And I absolutely know this to be true. They literally just come to mind as we're learning them and arise naturally. And I have to say that's all true. It's cultivating own intelligence. It's not just repeating. He's saying it's not just as simple as memorizing and repeating. We have to feel the effect in us. And I'm hoping today through the practice that you got some sense. He says, otherwise you're just being an idiot. And I thought that was funny also. Just to parrot something back is not skillful and will not change inherently, allow you to reach your truest potential. Undermining aggression, there wasn't too much in this that I saw. I'm going to let you read this part on your own. We're already out of time, and it wasn't anything that I thought was this particularly special, although it does say, as you recognize that that aggression is not who you really are, it's simply a reaction to not knowing the way, not seeing the path. That part I thought was useful. And that as we practice, we abandon aggression for the way. So we're going to begin next week on 35, which is the preliminaries. We just went over it today. And you see there first, train in the preliminaries. We begin with this first slogan. It's most critical. And there you see the reminders, the preciousness of human life, the reality of death. So we're going to go ahead and begin with chapters 35 and 36 next week. But because we're already over, we will stop here. I will send that chapter to you today or tomorrow. If you haven't read the others, please do. They're worthy. This practice will get sent to everyone. So I will try to get a sense of all who's here. But if you don't get it in the next day, let me know, because that means I didn't see you in attendance. I'm just going to do a little check here, see who's all here. Okay, I think I've got it. Wonderful. Let's sit together for just a moment. I'm going to stop the chat here. So this is a lot, but we're not going to complicate the practice. Begin at the beginning. Begin at the beginning. That is the first instruction. Begin with the preliminaries, the groundwork, the spade work, and you have to set yourself up for that. And we talked about all of the ways. First, we called to mind the truth of the refuge, the Guru Yoga, calling to mind the goodness, breathing it in, embodying it. And then we practice shamatha, or calm abiding, residing in the medium of breath. These are all a part of the groundwork. That has to happen first. If that's as far as you get in your training this week, it's perfect. If you never get to the exchange, it's just fine. The groundwork is the groundwork. We begin at the beginning. You need these skills, tools, and cultivation first. And so remembering our commitment to the practice, remembering all the beautiful teachings, all those who have come before us, all those who are here now, and all those to come who will benefit. May we dedicate the merits, the blessings, and the benefits to the end of suffering and the realization of true abiding happiness and freedom. May we offer this practice, exchanging ourself for others, to all those in need, calling them to mind, picturing them, breathing them into the vast sky-like quality of awakened heart mind. We will continue this practice by taking and sending throughout the day, beginning with the goodness, beginning with the pleasant, beginning with the delicious, and then turning towards the difficult. May we have the perseverance, the strength, the patience, the compassion and wisdom to continue this practice. May we all be well. May all beings be well. And may this practice contribute this very day. So be it. Thank you for being here with me for the LOJONG trainings, beginning at the beginning. Number one, that's the way I say it. You saw first, train in the preliminaries. You have several examples for that. If you have questions, please feel free to get to me. Practicing continues now. This is not the end of the practice. We're going to go on. You're going to take all the goodness from this practice and begin to gather it, collect it, recognize it, and send it out. Let's start there and see how this day unfolds. It will be a beautiful one. Blessings to you all. Thank you for being in it with me. Have a beautiful day. I'll look forward to seeing you all on Saturday. Till then, be well. I'll leave chat up for a moment just in case somebody needs to leave me a message or question. Be well.